Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing well. Today I have another Beatles update. I wasn't planning to do another Beatles update so soon after the last one about a week ago, but sometimes you just get fortunate and go to some places that you might not expect a whole lot of, Beatles records, but sometimes going the extra mile and going to hunt, you get some good deals and find some stuff. So I got a couple 45s to show, and I have about 8 or so albums, and these are all Beatles or Beatles related. And I got a good chunk of albums from an antique store that I mentioned last week, and I asked the owner if he had any Beatles records. He said he did at his house, but he will bring some for me this past week, and he did. He had about a stack of 10, and all his records in the store were 50% off, so I got all the Beatles records 50% off as well. I bought probably about 5 of the albums and a couple of the, and 145. So I'll start off with the 45s, and this was part of that antique store. Fine, this is United States We Can Work It Out with Day Tripper. And it's the same on the back. It's a nice shape. This part right here, he put his price tags on the album covers and on the sleeves, which is unfortunate because one of them was in really nice shape, and I can't take off the sticker without ripping the cover. But this is East Coast pressing, Scranton pressing, and just a plain capital swirl there. I got this for like $5. I already have one, so I'm maybe trying to find to trade it in with a record store, or try to sell it, get some profit out of that. So the next 45 here I found at another store. It's called Second and Charles. It's kind of like a bigger Barnes and Nobles with more selections of they have comic books and books, action figures, and they have a more selection of vinyl records, including used records here. So usually they're pretty pricey, but I found a couple that are probably at the upper end of retail, but they were what I was kind of looking for. But this 45 was in a bin, down low, and it's the Hey Jude with Revolution. It was 50 cents, and this is a first pressing because there is no George Martin credit down below. I didn't have a first pressing, I had a second and third pressing, and that's from 1968. And it's an East Coast pressing as well. So those are the two 45s that I found. And now we're off to the record albums. And next one we got here is the United States A Hard Day's Night. And this is the record that I can't take off the price tag right here. This up here is my labels I put on the sleeves, just to kind of identify, the pressing, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I try to lift up the corner here, but it would start to rip the cover, so it's unfortunate because this is in really nice shape. Again, I think I got this for $7. It was half off. Yeah. So it is on the United Artist black label. This particular pressing is a Rockaway pressing, denoted by the R in the dead wax. But there's the A side, and here's side 2. So that's nice to find in good condition. It's a mono pressing. Alright. And to keep going with that antique store find, I found a U.S. Sgt Peppers. Here's the back. And this is a mono 1967 pressing from Jacksonville, denoted by the 0 in the dead wax. So there's the label for the Jacksonville pressing, side 1 and side 2. So it was good to pick that up and get a different pressing than I had already. And again, all these were 50% off and pretty cheap, so I was fine paying the price for them that they had. And I have two more from the antique store. And another one is a first pressing of Abbey Road. There's front, there's the back. This one is a Winchester pressing. The way you can tell by that is that there's a little dash and a triangle next to the dash in the dead wax. And this is also an East Coast pressing there, but this is a Winchester pressing from 1969. The record's not in bad shape. The cover has some ring wear, and I got his price, labels off with pretty much minimal damage to the cover off that Sgt Pepper and the Abbey Road cover. But the best find from the antique store for me was Beatles 65. And what was good about this one is that it is in the shrink wrap. You can see there. This is the original. Well, this was released in 1964, but original Beatles 65 in the shrink wrap. This is a East Coast Scranton pressing. Came with the inner sleeve there. And this is a stereo pressing. There's the label. And there's side 2. And I didn't pay a ridiculous price for this either. Most of the records already were decently priced. And then again, I got the 50% off the little deal he was doing at his antique store. And now all the other records that I've found, except for one, came from the Second and Charles store. I usually don't go there because it's an hour away from where I live, but it's kind of worth going there every once in a while to see if they have any used Beatles stuff. And this time they had a bunch out, but again, kind of pricey, so I had to pick and choose the best ones and the ones that I needed for my collection. So this is the only Beatles album. The other two are solo. And this one is Beatles For Sale. As you can tell, it has a really different cover. And this is an Australian pressing. This is a first pressing in mono of Australia, from Australia. It is not a gatefold or anything. It just has the gatefold picture here. And an interesting cover that is not like other Beatles For Sales. And here is the record label. It's on the Parlophone label, similar to the UK, but has some Australian kind of stamps on there, on the label there. It's the cover is pretty beat up. I played the record. It kind of sounds, has a lot of surface noise behind it, but it's still nice to have an original pressing from Australia. And this Beatles For Sale came out in 1965, not in 1964 as the UK albums did. And this one was a good find. I was actually kind of thinking about picking up this album before I saw it. And it is the Traveling Wilburys Volume 1. And this is in really nice shape. This was released in 1988. It came with the inner sleeve, the band, and in the back right here. And here's side 1. This record is pretty much near mint along with the cover there, so it's a good find. So I'm happy to have that. They had volume 3, but they wanted like a ridiculous price for it, so this, for whatever reason, was like half of the volume 3, but I wasn't willing to pay that much for volume 3. But I think the best find from that second in Charles Place was John Lennon Plastic Ono Band live piece in Toronto. And again, this one is in the shrink wrap. You can see there, they had a lot of solo Beatles stuff in shrink wrap, along with a few later Beatles albums. And this one has a hype sticker here. It says John and Yoko 1970 calendar. And there's all the listings there. And lucky enough, it actually did come with the calendar. The bottom says paste your own cover on there. No one did. And it has some nice pictures of John and Yoko. Some other friends. I'll flip through a couple. There's them in their kind of younger years. 1969 era. Wasn't quite sure what this picture here, if anyone knows what that is. I was kind of wondering what that picture is. And yeah. So this one was a good find. Came with the original calendar. I think this is also a Jacksonville press on Apple. And the record is in really nice shape, along with the cover and shrink wrap. So there's side 1. And here is side 2. So yeah, that was all my records that I found at the Second and Charles. And I have one more record, which was a local record store find. It was like a few dollars, but it was a Paul McCartney solo album. And it is his first one, McCartney. Now, I had an original pressing of it, but this is a later Capitol label. This album was like a few dollars, so this one was also in better shape of my original one, so this one played a little bit better for me. But this is from 1976 when this one came out, and this is also also a Jacksonville pressing. Record store day list should be coming out when I'm filming this video, coming out tomorrow. And I know Paul McCartney has the 50th anniversary release of McCartney, so I'm looking to pick that one up when the time comes for whenever that is released. Then I should be good with this album for at least a good while. So that concludes this video. It's one of the biggest kind of record hauls I've gotten with Beatles albums. Usually I only buy a couple at a time because I usually have all of them, or most of all the common US stuff. But now I'm looking for, specific pressings, West Coast, East Coast, that kind of thing. Or I'm looking for kind of unusual covers, like from different countries and things of that nature. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll update you on the next Beatles finds. Thanks.